Hey, good to see you again. The factory sent over the parts that were looking good on the rig. They're being fitted as we speak. Have a look at the report.
Welcome back, guys, to more F1 2016. We've just had our fuel efficiency part so we can, use fuel a little bit better in our car, and our drag reduction here as we head into the weekend for Monaco. So 2 new upgrades to the car, so now all the level 1 parts have been done. We're at Monaco. It's the crown jewel of the the Formula 1 season, as it were. We're going to have a little look around. Look at the view. The view was really nice. I'm loving this new feature, like the career hub, as it were. We are smashing Gutierrez in our rivalry, and if you just saw it briefly there in the hub, Manor have done a massive update for their car, so they've now moved themselves a lot closer to Sauber. Here we are on the track acclimatisation, just about touching that gate there as we come through for Monaco. The Renault didn't feel great around Monaco, if I'm 100% honest, but, it's all important about getting those resource points and building ourselves up. So there we go, got the purple score on the first lap by 5 points. So here's our points for practice session 1 as we just did the track acclimatisation. Coming into practice session 2, very inconsistent test on the ultra soft tyres. 2 greens, 2 purples, 2 reds, and then finally 1 final purple lap time to be able to get, I think it was just green actually, I think it was, for that test, unfortunately. And I didn't really want to do it again because I had so much difficulty in some of the high speed corners. It's difficult on a pad, the old tyre wear test. That left us with the qualifying pace program, so we're going to go out onto that just now. And then, I remember what happened. I was in practice 3, and the game crashed as I tried to do the flying lap out. So that was kind of annoying. It just kept breaking. So then I was like, I'll do a drive out, because this is practice 3. The track's rubbered in. I'd find it easiest. The track could have the most grip. So I tried to do the flying lap and the game crashed. I'm like, okay, fair enough then. So we'll just drive out the garage and we'll do it as a drive out with a full out lap. And it crashed on me again. I'm like, okay. And as you can see, as per my dashboard, this is 10 o'clock at night. Didn't really fancy uninstalling, reinstalling the game. But I did just be like, is my game completely broken and just not working? Did a drive out, nothing whatsoever. It was absolutely fine. So, anyway, we finished the practice session in 13th place. That was as per one of our tyre management times, I believe. So, pretty impressive if you consider that. The Renault's definitely getting up there in terms of, midfield team. McLaren looking strong. Jenson Button there in 5th position. Fernando Alonso up in 8th. So, definitely a good weekend. Here we come in qualifying. This is Q1. We're only a 10th off Verstappen's time, but Vettel just went fastest. The new formatting of that chicane, by the way, I'm a big fan of how much speed you can take through there now. Ran a little bit wide in Rascasse. Here we come through. Anthony Nogues, the final corner. Took 2 bites of the cherry. Opening up the DRS now. And where are we going to position ourselves in Q1? It's a 1:15.7. Puts us 4th at the moment behind Verstappen on the super soft tyre. But it was enough to get us 8th place in the first session. Only 1 second off the pace of Vettel. Magnussen came in 12th. So he's back through to second qualifying. Here we go then, on to our next flying lap now. On the ultra soft tyres, you can see looks as if there's a little bit of rain coming down actually. And I think this is our Q2 time, as it were. So it looks as if we're going to be sort of trudging around in the rain as it comes down. I believe we've got a full lap here, because even on the ultra soft tyres, this lap was hard. Like trying to get the front end in was next to impossible. And how slow we were going through Massenet and Casino Square. Here we come down towards Mirabeau now, breaking only a 22.6 for the first sector in Monaco is pretty damn slow. Danny Kvyat goes fastest on a 121 on those ultra soft tyres. And look at down to 25 miles an hour for the Lowe's hairpin. Should not be that slow as we now feed it through Portier, and we're going to be heading towards the tunnel. This is where we'll build up a bit of speed now, even regardless of the weather conditions, as we go onto a dry bit of track in the tunnel. And here we come back into the rain, having to brake super early now. The 150 metre board. I tried to position my car for a tight line. Took a questionable line through the Novelle chicane. But, we needed to try and eke out as much time as we could. Understeering through to back. Knocking our front wing. Through swimming pool. Nowhere near on full attack. This track was so greasy. But the intermediates were worse. So it was the aspect you had to run on the super softs. Took Rascasse, there we go, first gear to try and get a good exit, and then again round Anthony Nogues, nice and tight line, opening up the DRS as it is still open. Where is this going to put us on the grid? It's going to put us, it's a 1:26.2, and we go 5th fastest there. So, of course, not a competitive time whatsoever. Turns out that was Q3, and Jenson Button has put his McLaren Honda on pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix. So, McLaren Honda could be very much looking at a strong result, because in Monaco, the race isn't as important as the qualifying. We come home 10th, so this is going to be just our resource points for the session. We overachieved by 2 positions. Just a few little extra points, bringing our total to 571, and we're going to compare the rival. I believe we've now won the rivalry with Esteban Gutierrez. Yes, we have. There we go. So the rivalry runs, we've beaten Esteban, so that's our second rival beaten, and the team are still really loving what we're doing for them. Still very much in the purple in that first driver slot. And now I think we'll just get our session goals for the race.
Hey, Zemma here. Just wanted to let you know what the team are hoping for in the race.
So finish 12th place or higher and beat Kevin Magnussen. Standard stuff, really. We've already beaten Gutierrez, so I don't think we've got like an update for him. It's time for the Monaco Grand Prix.
Take a deep breath and enjoy the moment. It's a very special time of the season once again, as we prepare for racing here this afternoon. There's no better test of driver, no more prestigious race to win, no bigger an occasion than the Monaco Grand Prix. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today, though, ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1-mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than inches from the race-ending barriers. And as the drivers start thinking about getting a good start and how on earth to get through Saint-Devote in one piece, I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, if we might be seeing a safety car or two today.
Well, you wouldn't exactly bet against it, would you? Statistically, it is pretty common, of course. About 80% of all Monaco Grand Prix will have at least one safety car. And that's despite the incredible work of the marshals around here, who you'll often see lifting cars out of the way, just under the yellow flag conditions. The teams will always plan for the worst case scenario though, and they'll be making sure various caution periods are built into their strategy models for the race.
Okay, don't try anything silly into one. It's going to be crazy in there. Just do your best to stay out of trouble.
So here we go, learnt my lesson from Russia, effectively going for the one stop but not going on a harder tyre because of the issues that I had in Russia, so just sticking with the ultra soft tyre to begin with, swap onto the super stop for a one stop. Took a lot of fuel out of the car because I figured I'd be running in rich a lot less around Monaco. You know, Monaco's more trying to keep it out the barrier and your corner speed rather than your top end, so I didn't worry too much about the fuel load. I sort of thought about the two stop, seeing as it was only 3 seconds, but that had, you know, cost us track position more often than not. So here we go, onto the formation lap, just behind Max Verstappen. Interesting enough, Max Verstappen just ahead of us is on the super soft tyre. So that'll be an interesting one to watch as we go into turn 1 and how much of a good launch he's going to get there. Obviously the run into Saint-Devote, bearing in mind simulation damage around Monaco, so it's going to be hectic. But both Red Bulls just ahead of us. Would love to get ahead of both of them and to put ourselves in really good set for the race as we can look to charge after, you know, the likes of Fernando Alonso's McLaren Honda into Massenet now with our ultra soft tyre. And I think, you know, we'll be hoping for a good run off Verstappen, but here we go. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's going Monaco. And we've got an absolutely fantastic launch. Max Verstappen bogging down on his super soft tyres maybe. Everyone sort of doing double file. We'll take it quite easy into Saint-Devote. Max Verstappen catches on us there. Yellow flags. Ricciardo's on our side pod. What the hell's happened? We've caused a massive incident. No idea what's gone on with the Red Bulls as we've gone into Saint-Devote. Going to have a quick look at the replay. Between the 2 Red Bulls, Verstappen stuck his car where it really shouldn't have been. And Daniel Ricciardo just appeared to get pinned between our side pod and the barrier. Here we go on board with Max, and he wasn't even turning into the corner. Could have easily taken evasive action. Daniel Ricciardo blocking the road there, and I think we're now going to jump on board with Ricciardo, and he's trying to turn into our side pod, and he got caught on our back wheel, and that's allowed Magnussen through into 7th place actually. So a double points for the Renault, and look at all the cars just stuck. We cut a lot later into the race. Lap 12, nothing really happened. We sort of just lost head with the leaders, and we just kept Magnussen behind us. Tried to look after our ultra soft tyres the best we can, because essentially I did want to try and go a little bit longer. The to mean that the super soft were going to be okay at the end of the race there. You saw that we passed Alonso in the pits, and now we've got more cars in the pits at the end of lap 13 as we come into Ras, Cass, Magnussen still behind us. Magnussen generally kept pace with us very well, so you know, we're going to be looking all right as we now pass Hamilton in the pits. Looks like Button as well, so we're up into 5th as what I would believe to be the 2 leading cars pit. Onto lap 14, we're going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap with a few of the other cars now into Ras, Cass. We've gone deep, and Monaco's pit lane, if you're doing the manual pit entry, is very, very like late on warning you of the speed you need to be going. So you've got to go in with a bit of caution there. Of course, everyone is going on to the super soft tyre to go to the end of the Grand Prix. Hopefully Renault will give us a nice good stop. 3 seconds is a little bit slow by sort of today's standards, but alas, you know, it got us out roughly where it needed to be, obviously, because of the separation of the cars. Due to that first lap incident, there's a massive gap between Grosjean and Sainz, and we slotted in nicely into some clean air as we come out on lap 15. So all we really had to worry about from this point, if I wanted to score points, was coming out ahead of our teammate when he came in, which he did the very next lap. And I don't know if he had some kind of slow pit stop. As you're going to see here, we're coming down the pit lane, going past essentially the grid box, and Magnussen's a long way behind us. Like, we were quite a way ahead of him. I don't know what happened in regards to the pit exit. That or his super soft tyres just completely fell off the cliff. But we got a big gap to Magnussen, and we're now essentially trying to close in on Danny Kvyat now, who I'm not too sure if he started on the super softs, but essentially he is ahead of us. He might have already been up there, and as you can see, by lap 18, we got the gap down to 5.9. I was pushing the super soft tyres really hard early on, sort of just assuming they would run all the way to the end, so no issue. And as you can see, lap 19, Fernando Alonso is out of the race, and he's broken down ahead of us. So that's going to merit us a position here as we come into Mirabeau, and that, well, the Honda engine didn't want any more of this Grand Prix, but he was ahead of Nico Rosberg. He'd gained a position in the pits, and as you can see by the smoke, Alonso pulling up in Portier. So that will give us 7th place as we go into the tunnel, pretty much at the halfway point of the Grand Prix. And we've now got Marcus Ericsson just ahead of us as the pit boards. I love the pit boards, especially on Monaco, where you get properly close. You can look at the detail they put into the pit boards. I love that feature. Ericsson tries to give us room, doesn't really feather the throttle that much, and he kind of really squeezes against the wall. I think you even heard the brush. Like, I don't know if maybe the rim of our tyre touched the barrier there. As we feed on to go into lap 25, though, we've started losing time to Danny Kvyat again. The gap's back up to 8 seconds, and the super soft tyres really just started wearing out. I don't know if I went too hard too early on that tyre, but essentially it wasn't looking good for us. But on to lap 26 now, coming into Mirabeau, and you can see there's, like, up there, there's like blue flagged cars, and everyone's bunching up around Portier. There's debris at the Lowe's hairpin, and plenty of blue flags being waved. As we come up to the Novell chicane, lap 26, yellow flags. Rosberg's crashed. Kvyat is just on the apex there, just completely frozen there, not really moving. We're going to have to get a replay, see what happened. On board with Danny Kvyat, he's come down the inside of Sergio Perez to lap him, and he's gone round. We're going to need to see that from an onboard perspective of Danny Kvyat. So here's a slow motion. He's coming past Perez, who's going slow anyway. And Danny Kvyat, he's coming down the gear slow. There's a Manor getting in there. There's 2 Saubers. And Danny Kvyat looks like he's just gone in too early. And he's caught the rear of his Toro Rosso. And he sent it around. Perez then completely lumped the front of his car. And Rosberg appears to have just got stuck behind the accident. So we're now up into 5th place. We get stuck behind Ericsson and Haryanto, both who must be carrying damage because Haryanto peels off into the pits. And we're now behind Kimi Räikkönen, but he looks to be a long way up the road as we come across the line. Kimi Räikkönen 13.7 seconds ahead of us. That was, of course, a very slow lap due to all the issues, and we didn't exactly go into Saint-Devote very well. So as we finish lap 30, coming on to 39, you've got Pascal Wehrlein in the Manor. 6th position, and you can see Raikkonen's 20 seconds ahead, Wehrlein 10 seconds. We're pretty much just running on our own here, so the objective at this point was to just get the car home. As you see me punt the barrier, but here we go. Vettel now down to 4th position. There's a yellow flag at turn 1, so let's have a look and see what's actually happened there. It's Danny Kvyat again. He's got a puncture on his front right ultra soft just after the pits, and he's just sort of stopped, and oh, he's caused a massive bottleneck. Danny, what are you doing, man? You should have pulled it off. But as we come on to the end of lap 34, beginning of lap 35, Vettel is now on the ultra soft. Sebastian Vettel pulled into the pits with only a few laps remaining, and that elevates us up into 4th position, which is by far our best finishing position, with only 5 laps to go, including the lap we're on. It also promotes Pascal Wehrlein into 5th. And now here we come, lap 35. We've got Max Verstappen going slowly. what looks like Felipe Nasr and Danny Kvyat. Danny Kvyat has been through the wars today. Max Verstappen hasn't exactly had a good Grand Prix either. Around the outside at the Lowe's hairpin, trying to just come through with no damage being sustained on us. And there's a slow-moving Ferrari. Is that Kimi Raikkonen? As we ran Portier, it is. Kimi Raikkonen moving slowly, going into the tunnel. This is going to be dangerous. You never want to pass a slow car there, but we've eased past him. And Raikkonen's problem, look at him, he's missing a good chunk of his front wing, so he just hasn't got any downforce as we swoop past into a podium position of 3rd place. Second now, Jenson Button. Button had been leading most of the Grand Prix, and we've got a car just up ahead of us. There's Sainz, and that looks like a McLaren Honda. It is Jenson Button. Heartbreak. Absolute heartbreak for the McLaren Honda. Button is crawling around. He had led the majority of this Grand Prix, and he's just crawled into the pit lane. What's the issue with Button? He's also substantially missing a massive part of his front wing, so I don't know when they all bunch together trying to lap cars, they've tapped. But we're now into 2nd. Crucially though, Pascal Wehrlein in the Manor Racing is up into 3rd place. As you can see, look, we came into the tunnel on 36 and our tyres are just wearing out. I've been to question if we were going to make it, you know, and especially now, look at this. Wehrlein is now only a few seconds behind us, closing us down as it were. Here we come at the end of lap 37, and we're going to check out the gap to Wehrlein here, because he was closing down on us at a ridiculous rate of knots. It says it's 2.9, but as he crosses the line, it's 1.7 seconds as we start lap 38. 2 laps to go. The questions are, look at the wear on our front left tyre. Were our tyres, I was panicking. I'm like, are my tyres actually going to make it? Or is my front left going to blow up? We're actually going to have a look now. This is the final lap of the Monaco Grand Prix. Pascal Wehrlein is only 0.3 of a second behind us. Lewis Hamilton has got this Grand Prix in the bag. He's over half minute down the road. And essentially our whole job for this lap was be as easy on the tyres as we could while keeping Pascal Wehrlein behind us for this 2nd place. You did not want the Renault and the Manor tangling at this juncture. A podium for both teams would mean just the extra millions in prize money at the end of this Formula 1 season as we crawl into the Lowe's hairpin. I protected myself from a dive bomb by just going really early, and look, we're feathering the car through, trying to protect the tyres into Portier, nice and tight. Here we come. This was Pascal's opportunity, getting that Manor Mercedes engine just firing up against the Renault. We had to park the car sensibly, and I just put it straight in the middle of the road, gave him no opportunity. Lewis Hamilton wins the Monaco Grand Prix. Who is going to be 2nd? Are my tyres going to make it? We head towards Tabac. Again, crawling through Tabac at a far slower speed than what you would expect to go through. Lifting off through the swimming pool and just on the brakes, barely attacking the additional chicanes. Into Rascasse now. Can we do it off of Anthony Nogue's corner? Can we secure a podium in the Renault Sport Team in their 1st season back in Formula 1? We're rich mix, the tyres have made it, and we are going to come across the line for 2nd place in the Monaco Grand Prix. You can say we locked into it, but to finish first you have to finish, and that's 2nd place for the Renault team.
Brilliant stuff from Mercedes today. That's another historic win. Tell me, Ant, what was the key to this success?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship.
There it is, 2nd place. A lovely handshake and a sign of respect from Lewis Hamilton and Pascal Wehrlein. This will be a Monaco Grand Prix to remember for Renault and for Manor. Pascal Wehrlein getting the driver of the day from Anthony Davidson. And what a race. I mean, it'll be the heartbreak for McLaren Honda. Davidson said that it was pace. I don't think it was pace. Button came through for 7th, but he, in my mind, if everything had ran smoothly, he would have won this race. But, you know, some guys, Grosjean in 4th, Hulkenberg in 6th, the lower teams just absolutely capitalised on the you know, the top teams running into each other or running into the back markers, and that was such a sweaty Grand Prix. Some guys having to pit 4 times, like Max Verstappen, who just did not have a good race, which is good because Max Verstappen apparently can't drive street circuits if you follow the actual Formula 1 season. 34 seconds behind Hamilton. That puts us in 30 points and 8th in the Constructors' Championship, right behind Valtteri Bottas. We actually get an achievement for a top 3 finish because I'm professional and didn't turn off my notifications. Bearing in mind this was around about midnight when this race finished. And I think that's also, with the Constructors' standings, I think we're going to move up a couple of positions now. Essentially, we are still the only one to score points for Renault. As you can see, just a few guys down the order. Yep, Magnussen on 0. So, Renault, the only haul of points they have as we move to 6th in the standings. 1 point ahead of Haas, 2 points behind Toro Rosso, as we are there in 6th place. What a wonderful weekend for the Renault team. Honestly, I could not have hoped for more. I might have lucked into a lot of it, but you got to take it as it comes. You know, we gained 8 places all in all. There's our resource points. Puts us at 695. As soon as we get our first driver bonus thrown onto that, we're going to be more sort of the 700 mark. There we go, 772. And of course, why would the team dislike us after a performance like that? A truly gutsy underdog drive from 10th to 2nd. Just some more sort of career score bits and pieces there as it builds up. You know, I sort of cut this out for the past couple of parts, but you know, I'm now at like 40,000, whatever that means. And now we look at the backdrop of Monaco, reflecting on what it was, and what a Grand Prix. Just what a race. You know, just genuinely, I was shocked. You know, I genuinely thought for a point the tyres were going to give up. So we've got 772 resource points. We could look to do an upgrade this weekend for Canada, but I thought that what I would prefer, my thought process essentially was I would go with the R&D from Canada and then get two more upgrades for Baku, which will be round 8, a circuit I don't know that well and I'd quite like to do well at. So we're not going to do any upgrades just this time. We're going to obviously see how it goes in Canada and then go from there. I think we're going to need more power, and I think some drag reduction, especially for Baku with the big long straights. So I think that's probably what we're going to go for. But guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of F1 2016. I certainly enjoyed making it. Leave a like again if you enjoyed, comment any feedback, subscribe for future updates, and I'll see you all next time.